Hey, everybody. It is Thursday. It is 3 o'clock. It is a awful caca day here in upstate New York. I'm so excited to be here with Thomas today because I'm like, I need a bright spot in today. It's been a day. So I just want to thank you all for joining us in these consciousness conversations, talking about the higher frequencies and kind of what's in the field as far as what the energy is right now and is going on out that we're all feeling. And it's so interesting. Thomas and I were just talking about how all the people that we're kind of tied to are feeling kind of the similar energies. So when we were putting together our topic for this week, for this Thursday last week, we talked about the soul and relationship to the soul. So welcome, Thomas. Dr. Thomas, how are you today?
I'm well, and yeah, caca is a good word to put for what it's like. I mean, so I got up this morning. I've been crazy and getting up at like five something in the morning to work out, and so I say I get up at I don't do it till 6:15, so I can sleep in a little bit. I know, but I then went to the lake right afterwards to do a quick little live, and oh my goodness, it was so windy. I was holding the phone up there just to do the 3 minutes of peace, and it was just like my fingers are freezing. But
Mhm. Mhm.
it's still windy out there, gray, but at least it's 50s. It's like the low 50s at least.
Slowly,
Okay,
slowly. We're getting there.
right. So
Yes. Well,
yes, I'll take that anytime. I'll take the 50s.
Right. So for those of you that are maybe in another part of the world or watching on the replay, we are in upstate New York. So we are in spring, but it definitely feels like winter. So we're inching our way into the warmer weather. So welcome everyone who is here. If you're here on the replay, please hashtag replay and join your energy to our group. We appreciate that so much. So good afternoon, Mandy. Good afternoon. Welcome. So, Dr. Thomas, this relationship with the soul, what were you feeling as far as what was spirit bringing you that we needed to kind of bring to this conversation?
For me, on my journey, it's funny. Right now, I'm just remembering this. I remember it had to be 2 years plus ago now. I was in the very beginning, and I was finding books to read. And I say the word read because I really just buy Audible books and listen to them. And that's what I got to do. I have four kids. I got to do it sometime. And I
Right.
remember I'm I'm mowing the lawn. Out of all things, I'm mowing the lawn, and like back then acres, it took at least 2 hours, and I had the book just happened to come in, and it was Untethered Soul, and it really started getting me thinking about the next step. And one big premise of that was who is speaking to you? What are you feeling? What are you listening to? And who's got the louder voice? And I wrote this today, and I love how I wrote it. You've got the ego,
Mhm.
and you have the soul,
Mhm.
and they are not the same. They are two different controls.
Very
And this
different.
morning, I shared this when I looked at the ego is the loud one.
Mhm.
It's the loud one that is is wanting complacency, wanting the expected, and knows, hey, this is what we know to expect from this, so we're going to go forward with it. And I say it this way, and it's terrible to think of it that way. But even if you're in a bad situation, and you know you shouldn't be there, the ego is going to say, be there.
Mhm.
Because at least I know if you're going to get hurt, at least I know to expect it to happen.
Mhm.
And so it's a louder voice inside of us. It's that society, it's that norm, it's what you're supposed to do. Where the soul, if you can quiet the ego and try to listen to what your soul is speaking to you, what it is you feel right about doing, what it is you feel right about saying, what it is that's right about. Okay, I'm back. Uh, I'm not expecting that. I close my eyes, see what happens. Uh,
The light
and
language comes
so
out. Spirit's like,
I
we're here,
know.
want to talk.
Yes. And so when you can listen to what your soul is saying and where it wants to go, it wants you to do, it's something different. And it's not necessarily what you expect. It's not going to give you where you think you might go, but it's going to bring you somewhere else. And
That's
so
it.
I remember reading that book and just having to start thinking about who is talking to me.
Mhm.
Is it really what I want, or is it what I just accepted as safe and as norm? And I start thinking, well, this is what I really want to do. This is what I'm trying. It meant sometimes not jumping off that ledge, but doing what I wasn't expecting myself to do, like going out at the last second, or trying this, or trying that, or ordering this, or writing this, or going on a live. Okay, it's about, oh man, I feel like I need to do it, but oh, I can't do it, but I want to do it. I can't, but I
Mhm.
want to.
Mhm.
And then when you break that that boundary and you just do it, and it gets easier to do it again and again.
And that's really what the ego is there to do. It's to keep you safe. It's that fight or flight. It's that survival mode. So of course it's always going to take you back into what you feel comfortable or where your norm is. And for some of us, our norm is in a very abusive or neglectful or traumatic system or response. And so that is our normal. And for many of us, we have to learn how to break that normal. So when spirit comes in saying go in this very different direction, a direction you've never been in before, and it's going to make you feel uncomfortable. It's going to make you feel scared. And that's exactly what you're talking about. Is like, how do you take that step over that hurdle? How do you walk through that fear, getting out of what you've always done, what your safety zone kind of looks like for you. And for some people, it feels very, very uncomfortable because it feels like that leap of faith or that going into this unknowingness with no net, right? And so that's what we have to recognize. We have to recognize that if you're feeling it and if you're wanting something different, if you're being guided to, led to, inspired to, that's your soul. That is, your higher self coming in saying, hey, we've got you. We see the game plan. We see the big picture. We have the map right here. We know where you're headed. Trust us. And that's where the faith comes in. And that's where really getting quiet, sitting in presence, meditating, or really just dropping down into your heart and saying, okay, I'm going to trust this inspiration. I'm going to trust this feeling. And the more that you do, the more that you're brought to. And that is when you know you're living in alignment. That is when you know that you're in the game plan and you're trusting what you're being led to. And yes, how do you recognize the ego versus the soul? How do you recognize which voice to listen to? And I get asked this all the time. How do when you're giving a reading what to say? How do you know what spirit wants you to say? How do you differentiate your inner voice, the ego, with what is kind of coming through you from spirit? And that is where it takes practice, but getting quiet, because what you have to do is really get present with yourself, get very present, and recognize that you're not your thoughts. Your thoughts or your ego thoughts are your fear based thoughts that are trying to keep you complacent, safe, in the normal, in the pattern, in the thing that isn't working anymore. And you are the awareness behind the thought. You're the awareness that's seeing the thought. You're the awareness that's going, oh, that's why things aren't working out because I keep making the same choice, expecting a different decision.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It, it, absolutely. And it's, you know, when I read that book and started reading that book is when I first started even constantly realizing there's a difference. And as I went through and I had to make these decisions, and sometimes when decisions come up, I had to stop
Mhm,
and really had to, you said there, quiet yourself.
mhm,
And sometimes it's split second, but I had to quiet myself and say, what is it I'm supposed to be doing? Which is the right answer? And every single time I had to go with here. I had
mhm,
to go with what my gut was saying. This going back to we're gonna, I know, talk like the solar plexus, uh, the the heart space is what is here in this space
mhm.
saying to do. And it wasn't easy at first,
No.
and especially when you're in environments where people are telling you the exact opposite,
Mhm,
saying nope, you've got to do this, but deep down this is what you need to do.
mhm,
And if you don't do this, it's not saying that you're listening to the wrong part of your body, you're not listening to the right, but you're not gonna get where you wanted to go. You're gonna get to a different path. And I can say from like my experience and what I've been doing, the more I've started listening to my gut and listening to my soul, the louder it has gotten
Mm-hmm.
and the quieter the ego. I point up here for the ego because we always say ego's up here, the head. The quieter the ego has become to a point where, I listened to this on Sunday. We were talking about this earlier. Marilyn Harper, uh, she was channeling this on Easter Sunday, and I love the one phrase she goes and who she channeled. I know she was channeling Christ consciousness for
Mm-hmm.
Easter, and I wrote down the quote that I truly love it. I love this whole. And I don't listen to her often. I just felt like I was in the right place at the right time, and and in the channel it was said, your ego in your life is to be conquered,
Mm-hmm.
and understood that your ego never speaks the truth, never. So when that ego is telling you you're not enough, not pretty, not whatever it is, it's it's not the truth.
No.
It needs to be conquered, and you gotta let it go and start listening to your intuition.
No, and I
Let
think
it
that
go.
word conquered is exactly how I felt about it when I was going through it, because your ego is going to hold on like nobody's business. Your ego is going to be like not wanting to die. It's going to be like
Hmm.
feeling the death. It's going to be feeling you letting go of it. And it's going to be like, no, 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 no. And it's going to hold on. It's going to really ramp up and really, start screaming and fear and making you feel afraid to take that step, to take that leap of faith, to walk through that fear. And so, I love that is the word. Conquered is the word, because the fear is going to get really loud, really powerful, because that ego, it's instinctual.
Yep.
It's really trying to hold on to your old way of thinking, being, and doing. And Eckhart Tolle calls it your pain body, what you know. And it doesn't want to get let go. It doesn't want to get
Right.
left behind. So yeah, it has to be conquered. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. But boy, that first or second time, that can be terrifying. And I don't say that lightly, because when you're making a major life choice that nobody around you is supporting because they can't see the game plan, they can't see where you're going and that you're going to be safe and stable and okay, yeah, they're trying to pull you back too. So you got your ego going, don't do it. You got the people around you going, don't do it. And you're thinking, but it feels so right. It feels so
Right.
powerful.
Right. I'm laughing here because what you're saying is so true, and it's I go like the ego is society. It's the standard. It's the norm. It's what we expect. It's what's there. But we are meant to be so much different and so much more, and have a different type of consciousness and a peace. And to put it this way, I mean, she ended her whole channel ended with very simple love. I mean, very simple. It ended. Remember who you are. You are love.
Mhm.
Remember why you are here. Love.
Mhm.
Understand that that is all that there is.
Yeah.
Love. That comes from here.
Mhm.
And it's we are afraid of change. We
Mhm.
are afraid of the unexpected,
Yeah.
and that's what this is because we're here on a journey. We're here to do so many amazing things. We just we get, and it's not a bad thing. We get lost in the human side of things. It just isn't bad. We want to be human, but if we can break free and start listening differently, we may be surprised at what we find and where it takes us. And the next thing you know, you're doing it all the time, and
Yeah.
people around you are worrying. People around you are like, oh, up in arms, like you said, and you're like, okay, just this. I'm gonna speak light language again. I'm not going to. You're just gonna go out and just be, and you'll see where it takes you. And it's
You know,
okay it's okay if others are going the other path. It's
right.
okay.
Really what you're here to do is you're here to model. You're not here to convince anybody. You're not here to prove anything. But if you be the model and you're the model and you keep going down your road, and all of a sudden you're able to walk through the fear, you're able to live your purpose, you're able to be happier, grounded, centered. And, when you're living that high vibrational frequency, when you're not playing small anymore and staying down here in the fear, when you're able to get into the love, the Christ consciousness, you're able to manifest, everything that you need when you need it. And then all of a sudden you feel like you're in this vortex of magic where things just show up or line up. And like you were saying, you were brought to that. You don't normally listen to her, but all of a sudden you were that synchronicity, the universe joining up the dots saying, Thomas, we need you to be here and listen to this because this is going to help you on your road. And for many people, that's the lesson, like to really listen to what you need and what you're being drawn to really notice the signs and symbols. Because one of the things about spirit, especially when you're starting out and you're trying to quiet that ego, is they're coming in very subtly. And if you're not paying attention, you're going to miss. However, they're not going to give up until you get it. So don't feel like you've missed something because you weren't listening before. It's okay. They're going to keep bringing it to you until you get it. And for me, it was decades. So please, people, just know they are persistent.
I love that you said that because I go back to when I really started making this transition, and the first sign I completely would miss would be like I listened to the ego.
Mhm.
Second thing would happen, I still listened to the ego. The third thing, literally, I had to be pushed. Like I physically sometimes had to be pushed and said, "Hello, here it is. We're giving it in front of you, and if you don't listen to me right now, this is going to happen."
Mhm.
And I knew it, because when I didn't listen, I saw like, hey,
Yep.
we're trying to steer you away from what you don't want and
Yep.
what you really want. But you're pushing yourself, your ego and yourself are moving towards it. And so eventually I went from 3 strikes to okay, let's get down to two. And then I'm like, all right, let me just try to listen. And it is tough because there's a lot of noise.
Mhm.
And as I said in the very beginning, the ego is loud.
Mhm.
The soul is soft. The ego is not strong. The soul is much stronger, but it's patient.
Mhm.
It is patient. And actually, that's the exact word I use. The soul is patient because it's waiting for you to be ready and for you to take the steps because you dictate your life. You are the driver. And you can choose to be driven by the ego or to let the soul come along with you
Mhm.
or the higher self come along with you, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But it's patient
Mhm.
and it'll be there and it'll show you the signs. And yes, get quiet. In my case, I eventually just listened, and it gave them simple things sometimes. It's like I always wanted to try this, but I was afraid of it. Why am I afraid of it? Why don't I just do it? Why don't I just go out in public or go to this place by myself? Or why don't I do this or try this? Just do it. And eventually, it was also why don't I just? Why I'm gonna do this and whatever people think, I'm gonna have to deal with it.
Mhm.
But I had to start. I started off with an analysis of why do I want to do this, and why am I not doing it? If I want
Right.
to do it, and so then I started taking the steps of doing it. There was no voice saying, "Do this, do like no, how you see how like the angel and demon in the cartoons, the
Yeah.
devil, like on your shoulders. There's
Right.
nothing like that. It's just listening and it's just doing what feels right, and what feels right for you is not going to be the same as the person next to you. And it
Mm-mm.
kind of goes back to our conversation last week with relationships,
Yeah.
and that's okay. People can listen to either one, and their souls or higher selves can be telling something different to everyone. And I love this, and I spoke on this a couple times in the past. Melissa's on Melissa's path. Thomas is on Thomas's path. So what is best for her is not going to be best for me, and vice versa.
Right.
And I hear people saying, "Oh, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to."
Right.
That's what you're being told for yourself.
Right.
And so we all need to also be cognizant of, what we're being told and what we're feeling like driven to do is what we are supposed to be driven to do, and saying yes, and that, you know, the spouse that's next to you feels differently. It's not a wrong thing. It's something you might have to think about, but in your journey, it's all to individual. It's using this word. It's a selfish journey. Selfish is the wrong word, but it's
No,
our own powerful
it
journey.
is the right word. It is the right word because for many of us, we think of selfish as a negative with a negative connotation, right? But if you're loving yourself, if you're valuing your worth, you need to be selfish to a point. You need to be selfish
Yes.
enough to be balanced. You can't always be giving and doing and being for others and not listening to your soul and to your inspiration, your spirit inspired message that is for you. And so if you're always going in the other direction because you're feeling like you've got to do that for someone else, or you're not going to be accepted by this person or that group, but you're going against what you're feeling, then you're letting yourself down. And for many of us, especially light workers on this path going through this evolution, we have to learn to be selfish. We have to learn that it's okay to put ourselves first on occasion. It's okay to set
Hmm.
boundaries with people and not allow people to make choices and decisions for us, even though they feel like maybe, like you said, you've got a spouse or you've got a parent or you've got a best friend or whatever it is, where they think they've got a little power in your experience because you've given it to them. And it's okay if it's balanced, but when it's not in balance, that's when we do have to get a little selfish to bring things back into balance for ourselves because we are here to be of love and to be
Hmm.
in joy. And we can't do that if we're always in a negative deficit energetically, vibrationally, emotionally, mentally. We have to be careful. We have to be careful that we are standing in our power truthfully, authentically, not egoically. So let's go back to that
Right.
ego. It's not
Right.
right. It's not that we're standing egoically, like I'm better than you are because I've got that. No, it's I'm embodying love. I'm going and doing my inspired action. And if you can't come along with me, I can love you, but I might have to put you over here, right? Because I've really got to go in this other direction. And if you can't go with
Right.
me, that's okay. I can still love you, but maybe not in the way that I was.
Hmm. And I love that because I was just about to give this quote, and then you said this, and it's like perfect. So like this is part of the message he said on Sunday. Uh, the first thing is we can be reborn at any point. So it doesn't matter where we are in our lives. It doesn't. At any point in our lives, we can make the switch, make the transition, start conquering the ego and following the soul. At any point in our life, we can do that. And I see this, and I've had conversations with family members about this
Mhm.
that are in this point. I'm like, it's great, you're doing it now, and you're setting yourself up for your next life. But this is the quote that you kind of mentioned there. The message in the Christ consciousness was to love one another as yourself.
Mhm.
But somehow that message has got misinterpreted.
Mhm.
And it's gone to judge one another
Mhm.
and hurt those that do not agree or follow through. And it's that we judge one another. Once you start judging, you've gotten the ego in because
You're
now
just
you're keeping it
yourself.
unbalanced and you're putting yourself up and you're putting the others down, and
Yep.
that's where the ego comes in. And so when you said it there with the word love, when you can love someone, and even in disagreement, you love someone, you're staying at the same plane, and you're just showing that love, and you're coming from where you are. Um, Man, it's not selfish. You can say the word. It's a good word. It's in your self interest because that's where you're supposed to be, but it's also in their self interest. You're being
Mhm.
positive in both manners. Um, there was, I think, was it who put up the message? Who had the question? Um, Mandy had the question. Is it like a gut feeling? I see you put yes.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
in my course, in both my courses actually, when I talk about the chakras, in your solar plexus chakra, sometimes that's where you get that gut feeling, where spirit really comes in and kind of punches you and makes that have you have that gut feeling because they do that when it's really really important and they need you to get it now. They can't be patient and to keep you safe. So Yeah, sometimes you do get that gut feeling, and that is in your solar plexus chakra where spirit's coming in going, we need you to step up, stand up, sit up, and hear us in this moment. And people who aren't used to that still go, can I trust it? But, I would
Mm-hmm.
say 100% of the time, yes, you are to trust your
Right.
gut instinct because that is spirit coming in, punching that message because you need it now for whatever's going on, whether it's going to keep you safe or whether it's really going to keep you from going down a road that's going to be very not good.
Mm-hmm. And I'll say with this, because this happened to me just the other week. My gut was telling me, no, just I was going somewhere for a couple of days, and my gut was just saying, no, there's really no reason you should no, and I went anyways. So I was committed to going, and I was just I was being extra conscious of okay, just one, be safe, be protective of what was going on,
Mm-hmm.
and being wary. So I was just a little more on a higher alert of all right, this is where I'm at, and nothing bad happened, nothing wrong happened, uh, but it just was like, my gut's saying no for this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here, not saying it's a bad thing, but just saying no. And so I just was like, just take it easy. Don't go above and beyond. Don't do these extra things because that could be what I need to be watch out for. So I was just
Right.
trying to listen to it a little more and be a little more
Mm-hmm.
protective is maybe the right word for
Mm-hmm.
where I was at. Uh, but yeah, it really is, and I would say the gut instinct and that also I bring up a little bit to the heart center too. What is it you want to do? What
Mm-hmm.
is it resonates with you? What do you feel? What feels right and good to you? Not about and Lori Lore spoke this, or last spoke this a little while ago, um, in one of her lives she did, and she goes, if the answer takes you minutes to ponder and think about, the answer is no.
No, and honestly, that came to me a couple of weeks ago. I was doing something. So again, it's in the field. Spirit wants us to know these things because that's what I've been saying. I've been saying like, if you feel questioning it, if you feel uncertain about it, the answer is no. It's a no. If it's
Yeah,
not a hell yeah, it's a no.
verbatim right there. Exactly. Now, mind you, let me take a step back here because there's always situations where you're like, this is a hell yeah, I want to do it, but can I?
Hmm.
Okay, you've made the decision you want to do it already. So it's no longer about do you want to do it. Now you're trying to figure out the logistics. Now let's throw this in there. Yes, there are some logistics you might need to really consider. I mean, I'm not going to go out there and buy a Porsche or some Bentley or whatever that's $100,000 car. It ain't happening. All right. First, I don't want it, but right now, see, I've already put out the intention. It ain't gonna happen. But if I really wanted that, I would have to change my thought and once again just trust that if that's what I was meant to have or meant to be doing, then it's gonna come in the way that's unexpected. So just follow the path towards I want this, or this is my goal, my plan. It feels right for me to have this house. It feels right to me to be in this relationship. It feels right to me to be having this conversation. Then have the conversation
But we always
and
have the
see how
ego
it
back
comes.
there going, oh, should you? Oh, is that really for you? Oh, is that, so you've got to be very aware of, and that's why it's important to learn how to become very present and stay in the moment. Because as you become more present and in the moment, you're not worrying about what was and you're not projecting into what will be. And when you become very present, you're able to quiet that ego. And so for some of you, I'm feeling like, you're hearing us and you're like, okay, that sounds good. And I'm glad you can do it. But I've got this fear going on right now, right? Where the ego is really ramping up, going, no, 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 don't go that way. Don't do this. Don't, stay back here. We need you to stay in this relationship, in this job, in this situation, because that's safe. And if you do that over there, you're not going to be safe. You're not going to be stable. You're not going to have the money because that's the fear, right? That's the ego
Mm-hmm.
coming in, going, we're going to be loud, we're going to be in your face because we don't want you making that change.
Yep. I have a parable just came to my head. Maybe we'll end with this. This is from Cryon, um, and it's Parable of the Shoes. It's a quick one. This woman, didn't really like her job. What she really wanted with this job, working in the environment, and just giving back in this way. And all of a sudden, she was offered this job, and it was an amazing job, and she loved it, and it was perfect for her. And she was working in an environmental sense, loved her coworkers, loved everything except one thing: the commute. She was claustrophobic,
Mm.
and having to take the subway to work every day was killing her. And so she was ready to quit the job. And she sat there, and she had a visit from, let's say, her angel, her guide, whoever, and she's like, I can't do this anymore. I need a new job. This is the perfect job. I need a new one. This is what I want in my life. I need something new. And the reply was, well, why don't you just ask us to get rid of the karma and the fear? It's a lot easier for us to keep the job that you really wanted and we gave you and just get rid of the fear than it is to find you a whole different job and keep the fear. And so that's what she did. And that's what she asked. She asked for the fear to go. And it took a little bit, but the fear went. And she was then able to take the job, keep the job, love the commute, love the job, and it was exactly what she wanted. But she thought about it in the wrong way in the beginning, that she couldn't have it because of the fear that was there. Get rid of the fear, and it opened up this amazing thing that she has. And so I don't know why that came to me in that moment, but it comes back to what we were saying, the ego and the fear. If
Yeah.
you get rid of the ego, get rid of the fear, you'll see the path in front of you, what's going on. It just comes clearer and really becomes so much more easier and better.
You brought me to, I had class last night, my intuitive guidance course, and we're talking about getting in connection with spirit and listening to spirit and how do you listen to spirit. And one of the ladies asked me about a dream, and she had an ascended master come into a dream and give her something, and she didn't understand it. And I said, well, go into meditation and ask why they gave this to you. And she was like, oh my gosh, that's so easy. Why didn't I think of that? Like, sometimes we just overthink things.
Mm-hmm. We overthink and we forget. And I did this for so long. I really did. It wasn't until like February of this year that I realized just ask. If we don't ask, we can't get our guides, our team. They can't assist us truly if we don't ask. If we
No,
ask,
because we
they're
came
right here.
Yeah, because we came into the Earth School, right, with free will, and so they're not just going to jump in unless, again, it's a dangerous situation or you really need to be moved. But yeah, so you have to invoke them. You have to ask. And so one of my favorite things to do in meditation is to kind of go in meditation and kind of ask for what do I need today, or what do I need for this or that situation, and I always get an answer, but it may not come the way that you expect it to. It's never going to come the way you expect it to, FYI.
Right. Keep that in mind.
Yeah. But just be open, and that's what I tell people. Be open to
Mm-hmm.
possibility because you don't know how it's going to come. You don't know what dots they're going to join up. You don't know what's going to get moved around for you and for you to start receiving what it is you want. But yeah, if you don't ask, my mother growing up, she was always like, just ask because the worst that can happen is you get a no. And the beautiful thing about asking spirit, you're never going to get a no. You're just going to get what it is that's best for you. And it might feel like a no because it's coming in a different form. But if you let go of the form of how something's going to go, then it's never going to feel like a no. It's just going to be like, oh, I didn't see that coming. But okay, here we go. We're going to go down this road. And that's kind of where I love being in kind of that place now where I just am able to kind of turn and transition as, things come. And, that is a process and it's practice and it takes time. But the first step, that first hurdle is conquering that, that mind control of your ego.
Yep. Absolutely.
It takes practice. It takes practice. And it's trial and error, guys. I don't want anybody to think that I've gotten it perfect. Trust me, I have not. But it's trial and error. But the more that you build that relationship, because that's what you're doing. When you start really listening to your spirit guides, when you really start getting in connection with them in a way where you're asking for them and you're seeing where they're bringing things to you, or your life is kind of opening up, blockages are falling away, um, you're building a relationship with them, and you build that relationship with them, then you can really start getting into communication in a way where you feel it, you hear it, you know it, you sense it, you smell it, you taste it. For those of you who are really stepping into your mediumship, they will bring you the message in many different ways until you receive it, and it's really just about getting quiet and opening up to being able to receive it. And really, the biggest part is raising your frequency out of the fear. And so that's why it's so important to kind of start really thinking about how you think, right? So if you start noticing your thought patterns, if you start noticing that in each situation, every time I have this situation, I think this thought and it doesn't get me what I want. Maybe it's not the situation, maybe it's my reaction to it, right? So that's where we have to become aware of our awareness. And it's in that awareness, folks, that's where spirit comes in. And you get into that awareness when you get quiet. And spirit doesn't need you to be silent, they just need those pockets between your thoughts to be able to come through.
Yes. But
So it's about discernment, it's about really getting
mhm.
very intentional with your thoughts and really thinking about how you think. And that's when you can really start to recognize, oh, that was my ego. That was my ego. That was a fear thought that is arbitrary. It's not true. I've had it before. It doesn't get me anywhere. It's got to go.
And it's interesting. I've been thinking about this. Even from where I was 6 months ago, you're, it's gotten to a point to me where it's almost second nature now to just go with the flow, go with what I feel is right, um, and not have that fear in most things. I mean, am I going to stand on a bridge and jump off it? No, I'm not planning on doing that. That's a different thing, okay? But with almost everything in life, it's just it comes, but it takes that time, it takes that practice, and we're all at different points. So to
Mhm.
try to copy someone else and emulate what they're doing is not going to work for you. You've got to work with what resonates with you and
Mhm.
where you're at. Because you said this even earlier. Yes, what do I need to know now? What I
Mhm.
need to know for my greatest highest good. But
Mhm.
the question might be, I want to get a house. Well, maybe you need to take this step first. Or a bigger question I hear a lot of people say, I want to talk to my guides. Okay.
Mhm.
It might be like 100 vibrational steps before you can get there. And I know I was teased that a lot of times. Hey, I just jump and jump and jump, and I get kicked back down, kicked back down to miss things in the middle. And
Mhm.
you've got to make that progression. It's never going to be a leap. Some
Mhm.
people get leaps, but that's because they already came in with them there. They just
Right.
needed to push up.
Right.
But we got to get the steps
Mhm.
in place in ourselves to get to a point where we are at this right vibration and frequency to connect with those that are trying to connect with us very clearly with ease. But in the meantime, it's the signs, it's that intuition, those gut feelings. The more
Mhm.
you begin to trust them, the easier it's going to be to connect, and the easier it is going to be to get that which you really want for your highest and greatest feeling. But with
Absolutely.
that, I think we've been on for a while. Uh,
Yeah, so guys, if you want more information about anything we really talked about, actually my latest blog that I dropped was Addicted to Pain, because many of us have had very painful situations, and it is a biological addiction. So that's all kind of outlined in my blog at guidance311.com. And then if you didn't get a chance to, I did coffee and cards this morning and talked about my app. I have an app now.
ooh, an
I
app.
know, I have an app. Who knew?
An
So
app.
yeah, so take a look at that. It is Spaces by Wix. You can get Guidance 311 right on your phone. You can book me. You can read my blog. You can buy my ebooks. Yeah, it's all there. So Thomas,
Look at that.
thank you for today. And guys, don't forget that we both do go to the Lightworkers Connection Circle. that is facilitated, and I guess she'd be the I don't say owner, but it's her group, Sheila Tillich. So that's at Sheila B Healing on Facebook, and also Thomas. Can they find you anywhere yet? You working on?
I actually started doing TikToks like last week. I
Yay!
know.
Yay! You should
So
drop your
that's but
TikTok
no.
link.
I think it's just yeah. I probably should.
Yeah,
It just yeah. I'll do that in the message. But
definitely drop your TikTok because I like those. He does the sit in presence, the 3 minutes, and really cool because you're braver than I am right now, and I'm not really going outside a lot. So I love that you do these nature things.
yeah, I love that. I've been doing that for a year, and it just there's something I didn't want to give up, and it's right to do. But Maddie asked a question. Guess where she is? Maddie, I'm gonna guess you're with the cockroaches or those bugs in that little shit. I know she like has to sex them and move them and like feed them. I don't know, but hey, that's my guess of where you're at, Maddie. If I'm wrong, so that's what I'm guessing. But I know I do have to go back to work. This is my little lunch break.
Alrighty, so we'll let you get back to work. So everyone,
Yeah,
thank you for joining us. Again, if you catch the replay, please hashtag replay. Join us in the Lightworkers Connection Circle, and please, any more information about me to work with me and anything that I'm doing, it is guidance311.com. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.
and I was right about Maddie. I know where she was. All right.